Hello everyone, welcome back on our channel. My name is Giselle Bilibiro-Maïdou and I am the founder of New Initiative. Isn't it a bit of a process when you're looking for the perfect toy for your child, your nephew, your niece, or even your friend's child? One of the things I remember from my readings when I was a young mother is that through play, children at a very early age engage and interact in the world around them. My son never seemed to be interested in toys and didn't even really know how to play with them. However, he had a special interest in small animal figurines, and he would grab them by the paw and spin them around for hours and hours. This particular behavior was due to the fact that our son was later diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Because ASD affects the development of social skills and communication skills, it can also affect the development of important play skills like the ability to copy, to explore the environment, or even to share objects with others. Today we know that play in early childhood development is so important, regardless of your child's condition. And we have a special guest with us today who is going to take us through that topic. Please introduce yourself, my dear.
Thank you, Giselle, for having me on this show today. My name is Rishna, and I am the edupreneur and founder of Wiggles and Giggles Edutainment Center. We look after children from 6 months to 3-year-olds, and it is a complete play-based center. We are based in Nairobi, Parklands.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. So, we were saying earlier that play plays an important role in early child development. Early childhood development. So, could you tell us more about it?
So, play is a very important factor in development of children, and there's various factors. I'm sure more than about 15 of them that play plays a big role in the childhood. The first one to begin with would be communication, language, and vocabulary. Because the different items they play with, they're learning. This is like, imagine them playing with a kitchen set. They're learning the names of all the items in the kitchen. They play with a toolbox. They're learning all the names of all the items in the toolbox. When they do role play, they're looking at each other. They're learning how to dress. They're learning body talk. And that's all part of communication. They also learn how to observe others in their way of presenting themselves, and all this is also part of communication. The second thing that would be very important would be, through this play is where they realize that this is probably a hobby or an interest, and maybe in the future, they develop it into a career even. Personally, I know about 2 or 3 of my students now who are taking up photography and cooking as they've just started it, but yeah, eventually we know that this is what they want to do, and they're probably going to start making money even before they get to college, which is so cool. The third point would be brain development, and this is of course integrated with critical thinking, creative thinking, divergent thinking, and problem solving. When children are playing, we see this a lot, like when we give them the railway tracks, for example, and they can't be able to fix the pieces together, you'd see like another one come up with their engineer brain and be like, oh no, let's put it this way, and you'll see them work their way out. And these are skills that we need in future for life, because of course problems get bigger and we need more skills to solve them.
Yeah.
During the first 3 years of their life, the child is developing their subconscious mind, which is where information is stored for future reference. And we have a lot of brain cell connections. There's an overabundance of brain cell connections, which is called the synapses. And when all these experiences are met in the first few years of their life, it's very easy for them to be able to overcome situations in the future, because their thinking is like so quick and on point. So it's also equally important to provide an enriching and sensorial playroom or play material, because if you just get them toys and they're not of interest to them, they're not going to help build any skills. Like you mentioned that your child was not interested in any toys, but animal figures was the end of his world. So that's why it's important to have the right toys and use them to build on skills. For example, like tearing paper. If it was a challenge to tear paper, then because animals was what he liked, you would have got like paper printed with animal and then said, oh, let's tear this paper, because that would be interesting for him than telling him, let's tear a newspaper. The other thing that play helps is the social and emotional part of your life, which is, of course, it's not just a skill that you use for a few years of your life. It's a skill that you need till the end, because you're always interacting with people, you're building relationships, and to be able to build these relationships and get to know people, you need to discover yourself first. You need to regulate yourself first. And it's through play that children develop patience, they develop resilience, they learn how to play with other children, and they discover themselves. And it's through these habits that you realize, okay, what this person did to me is not matching with my values, or it's not acceptable for me. And that's how you build your foundation and your values of life. The earlier you know what you want and how you want to be treated, how you want to be addressed, it's very important, because that's building your future character. Another important part is, an active play, where we're going outside and running, jogging, playing with the ball, kicking it around. I mean, as adults, we enroll ourselves in memberships of the gym to release all these endorphins and adrenaline rush and all sorts of chemical reactions in our body. That's the same kind of happiness a child feels through these activities, and that's why it's important for them to have physical play. And of course, all that is related to the mental health as well, because it's only when you release such good hormones is when you're happy. Of course, there are many others which we would notice, like creativity. We set up at Wiggles and Giggles, we had set up a doctor corner, and it was for humans. And one day this child surprised us, and he brought a soft toy, and he said, today the soft toy is sick and I'm going to check this soft toy. And we realized, oh yeah, we can open a veterinary corner for the kids. So it's actually endless. The benefits of play are endless. But I hope I've covered most of them.
Thank you, Rishna. You spoke earlier about the brain development. And we know that people with autism have a different brain structure. And because of that, they need to be engaged with activities that engage or stimulate some part of the brain or the entire brain. So what would be some of the examples of play you will suggest to parents?
The best kind of play to stimulate or engage in such activities would be like sensorial. For example, touch. You can make like a touch book with different types of textures in it. There would be, of course, dance and movement. You can do smell activities, just introducing different smells, like the kitchen would be the best option. Hearing, just fill different objects in different bottles, shake them, listen to the different sounds. Those are some of the easiest and most accessible activities you can do, because these are the things that are available in the house readily. Of course, then there would be other activities like threading, reading storybooks, and then as the child gets older, you would follow on more complex activities, like start a line of a story and then tell them, like ask them to fill in the blanks, like what do you think happened next, or things like that. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
I've been dancing with my son a lot.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So Rishna, I have another question. Actually, it's the last question. Generally, parents say they don't know how to play with their children. I don't know if that's a general concern or if it's specific to parents who have children with autism spectrum disorder. what would you tell a parent who tells you, I don't know how to play with my kid?
Okay, so the first thing we need to understand is that, play is the work of a child.
Okay. Okay.
It's not the work of an adult. And
As
what
well.
happens with play is, even when we sit down to play with our child, we want to take charge of how that play is happening. And that's why we cannot be on the same page and we can't play with our child, because they also want to take charge of that situation. We bossed around them with everything, telling them to tidy up, to eat their meal, and this is the only one thing that belongs to them, and we want to direct that also. The other thing that I've realized is parents don't understand that repetition is a way of perfecting a skill, and children like to engage in repetitive play. You'd keep seeing this child, they'd keep bringing this box, and you just wonder, like, why is it just this one box? You have 100 toys and just this one box. But there's a skill they're perfecting in that. It's just like us as adults. For example, I'm a teacher, and I've been a teacher for about 10 years of my life now. But I'm not the same person who I was on the first day. I've grown, I've perfected my skills, I've repeated playing with toys, repeated doing assignments to be where I am. So yeah, you have to allow repetition, and you need to let them take control of the play. And automatically you see a very big difference in how things are running. In fact, you'd be surprised that you learn something new from your child.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've also learned something new from you today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rishna, for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Please feel free to come whenever you want to.
Definitely.
Whenever you feel there's something you need to share with parents out there. We are really, really, really grateful to have you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. If you want to know more about Wiggle and Giggles, please find the link in the description below. Don't forget to share the video if you think it was useful. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and don't forget, when we touch heaven, our lives will surely change.